Have you ever watched an NFL game and thought, man, those are some ugly designs? Look, I know I have, and there's definitely been some uniform choices over the years that have made quite a bit of us do a double take. Like, seriously, who approved some of these color schemes? Did they lose a bet or something? Anyways, in today's video, we're going to count down on the top 10 ugliest uniforms of all time. Now, look, maybe you actually like some of these designs, and to each their own, but I think that most football fans will agree that these fashion fumbles do deserve a spot on the list. From seizure-inducing color combs to patterns that bring style back to the 70s, these uniforms have diehard fans cringing. As we go through today's list, let me know which one made you say, oh no, the most. Maybe we can settle which design fail takes the top spot as the worst of the worst. So get those thumbs ready and let's dive into the top 10 ugliest football uniforms ever worn. Number 10, the Houston Texans 2007 to 2010 home alternates. Kicking off our list at number 10 are the Houston Texans 2007 to 2008 home alternate uniforms. Whenever the Texans debuted these all-red alternates, I kind of liked them at first. But the more that I saw them on TV, the more that the all-red scheme just burned my eyes. It was literally sensory overload. It's not that the Reds clash. In fact, they did a pretty decent job matching shades of crimson, scarlet, and ruby, but saturating the entire uniform in bold red with only tiny color changes on the helmets was just too much. Too much red, that is. From head to toe, it was like watching an angry team of tomatoes running around the field. And whenever quarterbacks would drop back for a pass, they just disappeared into the solid red background. Receivers completely blended into the uniforms of their defenders, and seriously, how is a QB supposed to pick out guys in all that red? Now, don't get me wrong, a dash of red can really pop against an opposing team's colors, but dousing the entire uniform in red, that is a very, very sight for sore eyes. Use red to accent, not smother. The Texans might have channeled their inner matador, but these Raging Bull uniforms were best to retire to pasture. Number 9, the New York Jets 2007 to 2011 throwbacks. Coming in at number 9 is the New York Jets 2007 to 2011 throwback jerseys, which had revived their classic 1960 looks, but maybe some designs are better left in the past. It was looking like one of those magic eye posters from the 90s, with all those wild shades and colors colliding. From the very front, the jerseys looked cool in a funky kind of psychedelic way. But the jerseys and pants together, that was a hot mess. Kind of like the actors in those cheesy 60 beach movies wearing mismatched bathing suits. And player names were almost impossible to read on TV with that transparent design. Look, I totally get honoring your heritage with throwbacks, but the Jets, they pushed that retro style way over the top. It was an absolute circus out there, and all of the players were looking like total clowns. Number 8, the Tampa Bay Buccaneers 2014 to 2019 jerseys. And at number 8 spot, we have the Tampa Bay Buccaneers for the 2014 to 2019 season. Now, when the Bucs had first revealed this modern makeover, I kind of dug the brighter pewter and red color scheme, but the more that I saw these uniforms on the field, the worse they looked. The biggest offenders were those flashy digital alarm clock numbers on the fronts and backs. They were downright hideous. Seriously, who thought block digits straight out of a bedside clock radio were a good idea? Under the beating Tampa sun, those reflective red numbers must have been scorching hot for players to spot. It's like the equipment guys raided the clearance aisle at Target for leftover glow-in-the-dark decals so as to just plaster all over the place. And don't even get me started on the weird vertically arched nameplates. The ones that kind of look like bad window lettering. It was just a seriously odd choice given the traditional horizontal layout on everything else. Now, I'm glad that the 2020 redesign had ditched those silly digit debacles, but for half a decade, the Bucs suited up like wearing alarm clocks. I'm surprised they didn't beep every half-hour mark. At least Tom Brady didn't have to wear them. Talk about dodging a fashion fiasco. Number 7, the Seattle Seahawks 2009 alternates. Coming in at number 7 is one of the most reviled alt jerseys ever unleashed on the public. And that was the Seattle Seahawks 2009 neon green disasters. I hope whoever designed these was colorblind, because no person with working eyeballs would ever possibly think this was a good idea. It was like a radioactive slime green tsunami that was just swallowing an otherwise decent uniform the whole time. That flashy highlighter hue, it practically glowed in the dark. And once these appeared on the blue turf of CenturyLink Field, it was a full-on rave party out there. And it wasn't just the day-glow green jerseys. They'd accented them with blue pants and, for reasons unfathomable to mankind, lime green socks. It was just this kaleidoscope catastrophe. Adding neon green was already an appalling decision, but for some insane reason, they overlaid modern graphics into a retro 1980s uniform template. It was a mixture of ages and styles that made zero sense together. Pick a lane, Seahawks, 80s classic or modern monster. Nowadays, though, I think the Seahawks have finally abandoned this glowing gimmick after just the one season. Number 6, the Pittsburgh Steelers 2012 to 2016 Bumblebee throwbacks. Coming in at number 6 on our list is the Steelers' infamously, quite horrifying if I do say so myself, 2012 to 2016 Bumblebee throwback. And look, while I admire a good retro style, and I admire what they were going for, let's just say the execution left something to be desired. The second that I saw these suspender-snapping prison chain gang jerseys on the field, I was half expecting to hear Wiz Khalifa and T-Pain swinging in from the grandstand screaming out, "Black and yellow, black and yellow, black and yellow, black and yellow." It was like an army of jittery bees invading the gridiron. Were they steelworkers or backyard gardeners? Hard to tell with the yellow and black horizontal striped shirts, which made players look fat and bloated. Yes, they were dressing for their jobs after football. The jerseys themselves, with the yellow school bus color, that truncated stripe, and kind of weird number box, were all eyesores enough, but pairing them with stylishly slim pants had created a droopy, mismatched look totally lacking in cohesion. It was a visual irritation, uneven, and just a total fashion fumble. Heck, even the striped socks with the yellow and black looked like a barcode. It was practically gimmicky overkill. I mean, seriously, what's next? Bumblebee face decals? Oh, let me guess. Dripping honey face masks. I was waiting for an actual swarm of bees to attack the stadium. It was so bad. Now, I get to have some fun with throwbacks now and then, but these Bumblebee uniforms were less gridiron-y glory and more sideshow mischief. Looks like they got sucked into a black hole and spit out in 1892. Back to the drawing board, Steelers. Or should I say Stingers? Number 5, the Chicago Bears orange and blue 1920s jersey throwbacks, 1994. Coming in at number 5 is a relic from my childhood. That weird kind of 1920s jersey that the Bears trotted out in 1994. The very first glimpse instantly teleported me back to those grainy sports reels. You know, they had that squared off leather helmet, paunchy players. I mean, seriously, they definitely nailed the old-timey vibe. The stripes weren't so bad, almost, being an athletic college vibe, but the mismatch of colors and styles, old and new, created an unholy Frankenstein uniform. Look, I appreciate celebrating history. It's one of my favorite things, but some designs should remain septatone memories. While Bears players and fans alike got plenty of nostalgia and leaning into that old school history, trotting them out in primetime was just too much sensory overload that any fan could not handle. Number 4, the Green Bay Packers 2011 home throwbacks. Coming in at number 4 is a throwback that certainly lived up to the throw part of its name, as in throwing up straight into the trash can. I'm talking about the Green Bay Packers' horrendous 2011 home throwbacks. The very first glimpse of these things looked like somebody peeled off 50-year-old nicotine stains from an old diner booth. That dull gold uniform is absolutely horrendous. Were they football players or 70-year-old attendees at a broken-down hotel? I mean, just a truly nasty color scheme all around. It's enough to make your gag reflex trigger. Adding insult to injury were those dreadful perishable product boxes that were substituting for jersey numbers. Seriously, who came up with this idea? Then knocking out that beige with brown outlines just made them impossible to read on TV, and it was just an absolute mess. Now look, I understand honoring history with throwbacks is great, and there is no disrespect intended, but some uniform styles should just remain boxed up in the attic and not showcased on national TV. Hopefully we've buried these fashion failures for good. Number 3, the Jacksonville Jaguars 2015 Color Rush Bold Gold. Coming into our number 3 spot is quite possibly the biggest color rush catastrophe in NFL history. Behold, Jacksonville's appalling head-to-toe gold onesies from 2005. When I first saw these uniforms and their flashy gold jumpsuit-like appearance glimmer underneath the Florida sun, I had to shield my eyes from the oh so wrong visuals before me. It was like staring into the blazing heart of the sun fused with a urine sample. I mean, sure, the concept itself of an all-gold uniform so as to declare their bold city dominance did sound fantastic in theory and was probably great looking on paper, but slapping headless mannequins with glittery elastic onesies painted in fool's gold? That was a decision most foul. And while I admire the spirit behind the insane alternates like this, too much of even a good thing still suffocates one's memory. Especially when that good thing is a onesie. Back to the drawing board, boys. Number 2, the Denver Broncos 2009 throwbacks. Coming in at number 2 is a relic from the Broncos half-century celebrations, their 1960s throwback. And while some retro tributes elegantly honor heritage, these dull disasters only inspired horror. I bet even horror fans were wanting to escape these disasters off of all their TV screens. Some throwbacks deserve praise, while others, well, there's no doubt which category these long-lost jerseys fall into. Lastly, number 1, the Philadelphia Eagles 1991 throwbacks. Finally, coming in at our top spot for the ugliest NFL uniform is the Philadelphia Eagles legendary all-powder blue disasters from 1991. Yeah, they brought these baby blue nightmares back in 2007 too, but nothing compares to that original crime which was unleashed on fans in the early 90s. Those pale blue uniforms are totally visually assaulting. And if that wasn't enough, they splashed in yellow accents to amplify the trauma. And the oversized numbers, the flashy gold trim that resembled a grade school art project, only compounded the aesthetic offense. It's as though they deliberately intended to trigger headaches and dizziness in spectators. While many unattractive uniforms made this list, none had achieved the heights of offensiveness as the Eagles' 1991 fashion misfire. Those baby blue migraines remain burned into our skulls many, many decades later. So, there you have it, guys. Those are our picks for the top 10 ugliest uniforms of all time, from shocking misfires to criminals against fashion. And if you enjoyed this countdown, go ahead and smash that like button, hit that subscribe as well to join us for more great NFL content. And, as always, remember to have fun out there and not take uniforms too seriously. Look, we've all got our personal tastes, but until then, we'll see you guys next time.